fuck, it's October! Why haven't I been scary yet? Oh, this is a disaster! How could I have possibly neglected the month of terror? Come on, there's gotta be something scary here. There just has to be something scary. Panic stations, pan au chocolat. I think I just found the perfect game. Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people, and welcome to the Caddicarus show, where I always have to do the deed of deciding whether or not things deserve to be slaughtered or salvaged. And this is rather awkward of me to say, but this channel has uploaded 21 videos, including this one, since my last break, and I know that the month of terror has only really just begun. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to take about 2 weeks off after this video's uploaded for me to get all my brain juices flowing again. I can't just make things for the sake of making them. Don't worry though, this is not the Halloween special. I'm still working on that one. But honestly, I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this was the Halloween special after you see this box art. Knack is something I just don't understand. Shit! Knack is something that I just don't understand. The original game was a PS4 launch title, and talk about one of the blandest, messiest, and most forgettable launch titles of all time. It was so bad that it actually negatively affected the brain of a much younger caddy and infected him to make him think it was actually a decent game. Yes, since then my mind has definitely changed. I don't know what I ever saw in Knack, and somehow I think he infected everyone else's brains because Sony thought his so awful he's great meme status meant that he was deserving of a sequel. This characterless collection of floating kidney stones freshly squeezed out of a Sony executive's peenie got a sequel. His name is Knack, for Christ's sake. Knack! It's not even a good name! Shat! So I was very surprised when I got an email from the lovely folks at PlayStation and they gave me a review code for Shat 2. And PlayStation, please don't get me wrong, I love it when you send me games. I've been supporting you for years and I will continue to do so. But why Knack 2? This is PS4! Okay, well I'm gonna be fair to the game, because I like to think I'm a rather fair Florence. Yes, Shat 2 has some actual goddamn effort in it this time. Not that the original game didn't, but it was focused a lot more on and showing off the PS4's power than actually making an engaging and classic video game called Knack. But now I must hold my hands up and admit that Shat 2 addresses and fixes many issues with the original game, along with doing everything that worked with it and creating a game. I can't say it's good, but it's certainly not awful, so calling it a game is a very safe bet. I mean, like the original, the game looks great, and after all this time has passed and with the PS4 Pro, the game looks downright fantastic in many places. It runs at 60 FPS in the gameplay beautifully, and to ignore how impressive the particle effects and physics with each individual part of Knack are would be insulting to the effort gone into them. Shrinking Shat down into secret areas and watching him kick around the parts that were attached to him 5 seconds ago is always impressive, along with every time he does a body slam, which isn't massively useful until you upgrade it, but is so fucking cool to watch that I just used it all the time. I suppose you could say that Shat just shat. Shatception. It also helps how Shat himself controls so much better than before. In the original, he slowly dolloped around like a sack of mushy peas, but now it's way smoother. Shat is a lot less cumbersome and swift to move around, along with being lighter and more fun in the jumping department. He can even glide after a double jump, which looks fantastic and is equally swift and fun to perform. The gameplay, well, the gameplay is the same as before, honestly. Pretty repetitive and mindless. But I'll get back to that later, okay? Knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a PS4! But it has a lot of neat additions that make it feel like it's trying to redeem itself after the blandness of the original. However, let's be honest, that wasn't exactly going to be that hard to do. Shat has a better Shat system that shats arrows onto his opponents. Shat has a better guard system that parries arrows onto his opponents, giving another layer to the punch and kick beat-em-up nature by way of risk and reward timing at the right moment just before the arrow hits you to kill a ranged target from a distance instead of constantly dodging while fighting other people. And seeing as Shat's main gimmick is that he's made out of other tiny little Shats, there are way more moments of you needing to shrink and grow during the combat as well as with platforming, along with many new moves to unlock that help to spice up and make combat easier, like longer range shield breaking strong punches, dodging through projectiles and enemies, and the admittedly very fun rapid punch combo. As you go on, you also get to play with new types of Shat, from iron to ice, that have new moves to play with and increase your armor count towards a much more balanced and sensible health bar that doesn't kill you in 3 hits no matter what. And hey, when did this game become Knack Bandicoot? Platforming in this game is actually much better than before and more involved than the original, with some genuinely fun, treacherous platforming segments. Nothing mind-blowing or that difficult really, but still very much appreciated now that actual timing needs to be used. And when it isn't being treacherous, the secret areas and hidey holes in the stages are very well hidden and make the whole thing way more interesting to play. You actually had to look around for inconsistencies in the terrain and keep your eye out for tiny gaps to shrink into or shuffle along in order to reach secret areas, or even shrink in the middle of particular jumps so that you can reach them. And these secrets are definitely worth looking for, amazingly enough, since you can create gadgets and devices to equip that majorly benefit Shat himself or the gameplay, rewarding your exploration of the mostly linear stages and keeping things fresh throughout the shorter and sweeter chapters that have a nice pace to them. You know what? I think this series is finally starting to get the knack of it. There's also some more tiny, cuter details added in, like the amount of relics that you have detailing your height being displayed on the screen. I really like that. And you know what? For as terrifying as Shat really looks when you take a step back, this is the month of terror after all, he actually managed to make me laugh. Once at the very beginning of the game when he shrinks into a vent and then grows and pops his head up to get out.
Why, hello there.
Come on, that was kind of funny, don't judge me. But of course, even this game couldn't keep its funny bone for longer than 3 minutes, and it immediately messes up in classic rib-tickling scenes such as this from chapter 1 onwards.
Knack?
Oh, what? It's behind me, isn't it?
He's right behind me, isn't he? There's nothing more depressing in a light-hearted game when every single, and I mean every single attempt of humour falls flat on its face. You could argue that this game's been written as a kid's game, so it's been made to feel like a cheesy cartoon, but I can't agree with that excuse because fuck, even kids wouldn't find this totally stale delivery and uninterested voice acting funny. It's not a parody of cartoons or even a send-up, it's in limbo. It just comes across as tired old men writing jokes about other tired old men.
Ice is nice. These things are dead as doornails.
Now, these doornails were once the vanguard of the Goblin army.
Were.
And seriously, for as welcomed and needed the little gameplay things are to the Shat formula, the game still just isn't that fun to play, and I think it's finally time for Sony to let this series keel over and die, because any steam it does have gets lost after 2 hours. And I had to stop playing this game after 3 hours because of how bored I was getting, and this is coming from someone who finished the original game. In fact, let's give the story a once-over before anything else. Do you remember the original tale about goblins that wanted to take over the world? Well, Knack 2 follows on from that story beautifully, as this time it's about goblins that want to take over the world. Yes, the story is exactly the same here, and what's worse is that there's still no development from anybody. These guys, main characters from the last game, which I finished over 8 hours of play, I still don't remember the names of. It's Jim, John, and Dr. Dibble. The plot feels not only rehashed from before, but totally inconsequential with no major crescendos, tension, or realistic pacing, and the uninterested voice actors voicing bland characters makes it all worse.
While you're off on your little expedition, I'll speak with Xander about the awakenings. See if he and I can't...
Perhaps we can find a pattern to them.
Wait for me!
No one ever has anything interesting or meaningful to say, and the characters can often be unintentionally hilarious.
What is this place?
What is this place?
What is this place?
You might as well call him Knuckles. And what plot points that could be summed up in a few sentences are relegated to long, drawn-out cutscenes that are just not needed and over-expository to the point of insulting. Again, my own kids were bored watching these, so I don't get what the argument of kids' game story writing has to do with anything. In one of my favourite parts, though, there's a scene where you find out that there's a village at the bottom of a mountain, and then 3 minutes later, you're in that village you just found out about, fighting off these ancient robots and saving the 10 citizens of the village that are totally unharmed. And then 90 seconds later, you get a cutscene with Jim being all angsty and all about that puberty.
I'm okay. I just can't get those poor people from the village out of my mind.
You just found out about this place minutes ago and saw like 5 people that were saved. Why are you being a mood bag? And incredibly, in that very same cutscene, you find out from another character, Jimalina, that the robots you've been fighting were built in a forgotten ancient goblin city that nobody knows the location of and nobody has lived in for centuries. And wouldn't you know, less than 5 minutes later, you're there! Yeah, there it is! Jimalina is terrible. And God, whenever the game tries to be self-aware and fourth wall breaking with its comedy, boy does it fail. Since when Shat gets mocked in this bit here for only being able to do 2 things that made his original game so boring...
It's hard to believe you saved the world. All you know are 3 punches and a kick.
He can jump, too.
it's then probably a good idea that you don't follow up the rest of the game with more punching and fucking kicking. Just because you acknowledged it in the story doesn't make it funny, it's just sad that you knew about it and didn't bother to change it. And if you aren't too fond of the punching and kicking gameplay that is easily won by doing the same strategies against the same enemies over and over again, don't worry, because the really exciting stuff is left to QuickTime cutscenes. Yeah, does this look fun? Do you want to play through this? Well, screw you, press some buttons, fun isn't allowed.
At this point, the main problem is that this series is just totally knackered. Oh,
So despite the added power-ups that do change the combat way more than the first game and all the little bells and whistles with the platforming, yes, the main chunk of the game, fighting the baddies, is just as samey and never-ending as before, with the same strategies getting you through pretty much everything, and the only thing getting you killed being poor dodge timing against occasional bigger meanies. The rest feels the same no matter how far you go, and you know what? I do praise the upgrade system of the game, and I love how through exploration and killing certain wildlife before they escape the screen and other enemies, you can fill up the upgrade meter for points to spend faster. But when this huge tree was given to me at the start of the game and made me think that I could pick and choose between each branching direction that favoured different styles of play, from agility to offense and defense, to find out that you're stuck on each individual branch until a certain criteria of upgrades are filled just killed the enjoyment out of that and made me question what the point of having it was in the first place if it was going to be this linear. And even more perplexingly, in some platforming bits, you have an invisible killing pit that follows you as you climb, with nothing being there to indicate a reason for you dying. What killed me there? The air? Ugh, I'm so done with this now. I just wish I could play everybody's golf. Oh wait, there it is. Come on, gang, let's play that instead.
Wait, where were we? Oh yes, of course. The terror of Knack. Knackman.
Even puzzles, where some are admittedly okay for a beat-em-up like this, can often be just simply lazy because you didn't solve it in the way the game wanted you to. Like here, I hit this switch and yeah, would you agree that the door is staying open for a while? Awesome, so what happens if you hit it and then run for the door? Ha! You didn't solve it our way, so fuck off! Even in these bits where you can turn invincible and get extra strong for a limited time are totally lazy and randomly spaced out. Instead of having it be a rewarding ability that you can save and expend at the time you need to use it, just wait for the random load of crystals to appear in the middle of the stage out of the ground ready for Shaq to steal and become a god. Yeah, near the enemy hideouts. Their only weakness just appears in the middle of the floor. That makes sense. And no matter how complex, how long, or how windy a path, and how impossible it would be for any human to perform particular jumps or get past death traps and puzzled obstacles like locked doors and weighted switches, no matter what you get through, your human companions just magically materialize behind you as you go. Yep, they say they need your help to carry on, but that's clearly not true. They can just warp where they need to because we made Knack 2 and we can't think of a way we can have these guys be with Knack to carry the story along without them just teleporting. There is one saving grace in all of this though. Rapid punching human beings is fucking hilarious.
And on that farm he had a knack, E-I-E-I-O, with a knack here and a knack there, knack. If you couldn't tell, I'm done with this game. It's too boring, and PlayStation, thank you so much for sending me a review copy, but I'm sorry, I just couldn't play after 3 hours. Knack 2 is definitely a much better game than the first one and does slightly redeem the reputation of the series, but the problem really is that this is where it should have started. So by this point, Knack 2 just feels like wasted effort, and the game still isn't even really that great despite its improvements. It's far from terrible, but still ridiculously mediocre, so if I was feeling generous, I would give this game the Slauvage. But I'm not feeling generous. It's October, it's a spooky month, and I want to shoot something. I'm feeling angry, so do you know what? I'm going to give Knack, as a series, the Slaughter. Is that blood? If it's your birthday today while watching this video, happy frickin' birthday to you. Please remember to stay beautiful. I fear I've made a grave error.
Hello everybody, and thanks so much for watching this spooky video on Knack 2. It was terrifying, wasn't it? And special thanks to all these people on the screen that donated to the show via Patreon in the description below. With the YouTube apocalypse and advertiser-friendly bullshit going on recently, you are really helping to keep the channel and all the videos coming out alive. And if you'd like to get your names in the credits or have early 24-hour access to every Caddicarus episode ad-free, then please go and check out the Patreon page. And special thanks to the top tier donators, Omar Matu, Patrick Ferguson, Andy Ellis, Robert Alamshire, I Have a Portal Gun, Gamer Man, Uni Hermit, Kirsten B, QB, Matthew Elliott, Nathan Young, Nicole Ganara, and Jacob Pappenfuss. Thank you so much, every single one of you.